What a joy that you have found us for this podcast. How exciting it is to think that this spiritual message is going out to people around this planet. Whether your life is working at a peak level or whether it can use some enhancement, have I got the message for you today. So get a piece of paper, get ready to take notes, call a friend, have them watch this podcast also. Then you too can have something to talk about and take it to a deeper level. So enjoy. Here we go. All right. Well, hey, good morning, Seaside. Woo, what a great start to the morning, isn't it? Oh, man, I love it here. I love it. It feels so good to be part of what's taking place. It really makes me want to dance. And so this morning's message is about dancing on the edge. And as I spent time thinking and meditating, contemplating it, I came to recognize I do a lot of talks about being on the edge. Dancing on the edge, walking on the edge, sitting on the edge, view from the edge, the razor's edge. And so I guess being on the edge is an important aspect of life for me. I'm glad Seaside goes along with it. Because we do great things, because there is a view from the edge you would never get from the valley. I'll assure you that. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that is not the place to be making your decisions for life. While you're sitting there in the trough looking up at these mountains, that is not the place. And so as you do step out to the edge, you begin to see as God sees. You begin to look out and see possibilities you never knew existed. You can't help but to dance. Can't help but to be filled with joy when you see your life with greater possibilities than you thought were possible. Doesn't that make you want to dance and sing and celebrate? And feast. Got to throw in some eating too. Haven't done that on the edge yet, but soon. Anyway, so this morning's about dancing on the edge. And it's interesting. David Bohm, a Princeton physicist, colleague of Einstein, probably best remembered for his book, "Wholeness in the Implate Universe," or the Order, the Implate Order. Wholeness in the Implate Order is his book he's best known for. And what's interesting about that book is that he talks about if you can have an elevated view, if you could look out from the universal perspective, you would see that the objects in the world are a projection of that which you cannot see. The objects of the world are a projection of something else that is unseen, but yet still part of the wholeness. That's the implicate order, is the wholeness. And so those objects that you're seeing are coming from something you cannot see. Sounds like Ernest Holmes. Thoughts are things. It's done unto you as you believe. That whole thing is coming out of the quantum field. The physicist, he says that the explicate order, or the realm of form, the realm of objects, of people, of things, of oceans, that is still connected to the wholeness, the whole order, the implate order, that there is something there. And he went on to use the metaphor to help explain it better than I'm doing in this moment, about a stream. He says, you look at a stream, and if you're up close, you could see in the currents of the stream, the vortices of the streams, the eddies, the pools, the waves, the splashes, all these things that look separate. But if you step back far enough, you can see there's no way those things are separate. They're all part of the stream. They're all part of the wholeness. Yet when you're close and you're caught in the eddy, you're caught in the whirlpool, you are feeling that you're caught in something, but yet it is still part. There is motion. There is fluidity going on there. And so, that is a good feeling. If science is beginning to use their ways to explain it, and saying what the spirituality has been saying, is that even when you're caught in what seems separate from the whole, there's something that can pull you forward. But you got to be able to listen to yourself, not to the image, not to the separation, not to the world, the phenomenon. You got to listen that there's a stream there that wants to pull you along. There's a picture you've probably seen. There's many versions of it. There's probably thousands of versions of it. You'll find them in most classical museums, and that is the picture of what the Bible calls the Annunciation. That moment when the angel Gabriel speaks to Mary and says, you know what? God chose you, and you are going to have God's child. Well, moving beyond the concept of the impact of that moment, an angel talking to you and say, hey, God's going to impregnate you. And taking a look at the spiritual context of good spiritual stories have meanings that are metaphysical for all of us. That, the angels are really the messengers of God, the voice of God, the thoughts of God. Mary not only being a figure of 2,000 years ago, Mary being you. And so that Spirit of God is speaking to you. It's not something that happened 2,000 years ago. That Spirit of God is speaking to you and says, wants to impregnate you with something new, with a Christ presence, with something that is exciting, that is going to pull you out. You are on the edge of greater possibilities. You listen to this. But unlike Mary, so many of us go, oh, wait a second. I don't know about that. Give me a break. Me, God? Why me? I don't know if I'm up for this task. Actually, I'm very busy. Let me check my day timer. Whoops, no time for that, God. And we come up with all these concepts that deny that presence that wants to pull us out, that wants to show you that there's more in store for you. Got this wonderful book called You Are Enough. Always have been, always will be. From a wonderful minister friend, the Reverend Dr. David Walker. He's the past president of Religious Science International. And I'd like to share with you from his book that says, the best way to live life is to find a reason to feel good about being exactly who you are, regardless of the circumstances that surround you. And the best reason is that you are life and that life is already complete. That you don't have to work to be what you already are, but you may need to work to become aware of it. Nothing we can do or keep from doing can make us complete, because our completeness is part and parcel of our permanent identity, our identity that transcends the very way we walk, talk, or look. It's an identity that transcends the wonderful things we have accomplished or plan to accomplish. It's an identity based on something far more substantial than what can be seen. It's an identity that is based on what we are. David Walker. Who you are. And so when you're caught in those eddies, when you're caught in the valley, I'm telling you, get up to the edge and look out. There is so much more. Because when we're caught in that place of pain or difficulty, struggle, you name it, what may be going on in your world, that attitude that, hey, I've got to defend myself or I got to attack to protect myself, boom, sends love away. You notice that? That attitude of, hey, you're guilty or you're looking for blame. Let's love go. Just like that. The attitude that there is limited possibilities sends the miracles right out the door. See you later. I'm not going to hang around you if there's not space for me. We get to choose our world. And when we are in that place and realize that those objects, the explicate universe, those things may be looking separate, but the truth is, as Bowen was saying, if we could separate ourselves a little farther and look down, it is still part of a stream, a universal stream, a God stream. And so when there seems to be circumstances that are painful, difficult, should not belong to me, and do, it is an opportunity to recognize where the love is missing. It is a call to love. Okay? Where love appears to be missing in your life, it is a call to love. Very simple. Not to fight, not to defend. Where love is missing, it is a call to love. It is an opportunity to dance on the edge, say, whoa, there's a greater possibility here. The circumstances are the grounds for which we get to decide whether we want to bring forth our ego-based defense or whether we want to bring forth the spiritual side of things. And I got to tell you, that ego side of defense, it is loud and it gets our attention first. Hey, react. That's the way you always have been. You always have done it before. But there's something subtler there. It's that stream that says, yes, you can express yourself, but it takes some practice. It's not something you can just do first shot. It's like going to the gym. You can't go to a gym once and expect to walk out with a new hard body. I've tried it. It doesn't work. Yeah. And our spiritual practice is the same thing. You can't expect just to do a prayer every now and then, expect it to work. You can't expect to sing a hallelujah once and expect your world to be filled with things to be praising all the time. You have got to spend some time in your meditation. You've got to spend some time going deeper in your life. And so when the world throws you a circumstances that doesn't make you want to dance, but to retreat back into your cave, you're able to listen. No, there's another perspective. That I can live in a world that has fear, or love? Really, the choice is mine, because we're all connected with the whole, and those angelic voice of God, that message of God is there, and we're in the stream where it's available. We saw a magnificent display of it in the last 24 hours with Live Earth. Our world, our planet can be freaking out that we're going to global warming, and there's enough people pronouncing Armageddon, the end of things, and the end of polar bears and all of that. And yet there were a group of people who got together on all 7 continents and united 2 billion of us in the last 24 hours to celebrate the things that we can do to assist this planet in which we live. Rather than living in fear, we chose to live in a way in which there is something we can do. That's what I'm saying, is that we can choose how we're going to perceive the circumstances in our life. You get to dance on the edge with joy and know that if I can see as God sees here, there is an answer. I can answer the call. I can make that pledge to bring forth Spirit, or I can retreat and join all those naysayers, those sayers of gloom and doom, that things are not going to turn out good. That's not the vision I see. There's something greater that is there, and I get to contribute to help bring that about. I've been reading Greg Braden's new book, fabulous book called The Divine Matrix. And he talks about, and he was aeronautic senior computer program of the space program. So he's got the smarts and he's got the math all down. And he intertwines the sacred spiritual scriptures and the new science into his position about the divine matrix. He points out that the Dead Sea Scrolls, which come into San Diego, there's a section called the Sacred Sabbath Sacrifice, where it talks about 2,000 years ago that the world is a pale reflection of a greater reality. He also points out in the Vedas, 5,000 years ago, almost the same thing, that there is a unified field that mirrors something higher and deeper, from a higher, deeper realm, a higher, deeper reality. Okay, so what he is saying and is proving from a scientific perspective is that there is this divine matrix, which is like a blanket. It is this field. It's like a screen that takes the impress of what we're putting out there. And the impress that we put out there is not just the words. We come in with the ability to communicate into this field with our emotions and our feelings. You notice we're all very fluent with emotions and feelings, whether you have words or not. And working with Trevor, who hasn't quite mastered the language, I'll assure you, he is quite fluent in his ability to emote and to express his feelings. You know, all of us are fluent in that language that makes the impress in this canvas. It is like a movie screen that is non-judgmental. It takes from this invisible world that Boehm was talking about. It takes from this invisible place that Ernest Holmes talks about. It takes, and what, you know, we know that the emotions and the feelings make chemical changes in our body. Science has proven that there is a chemical response in our body, and if that energy of thoughts and feelings changes a body, it changes the field that is around us, then this stream that we are on is also responding. And the screen in which we are, this quantum screen takes the impress and shows us non-judgmentally in our life, in the world of form, in the excrete world of form, that which is there. On the inside shows up on the outside. This is the way it works. It's like a canvas, like an artist, you know, draws on the canvas. You're drawing from the depths of your feelings and your emotions from the inside, the outside. But what is different is that the artist has a canvas that is in one place, sitting in one place and time, and paints on it. You are the canvas. You are the artist. You are the paint. You are all of that is expressing itself in the world of form. All of a sudden, what is on the inside comes to the outside, and what appears to be on the outside seems to take on life and form and begins to move from there. It's like, here's not. Ever see those old cartoons from the 50s or 60s, black and white, where I don't know, it's like Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny, where it starts off where you have an unidentified artist doing the caricature, of the ears of Mickey or Bugs, and all of a sudden it's drawing the face, and you just see the hand in the pen drawing the cartoon, and all of a sudden the cartoon comes to life, just the head, and then the body, and then the arms. The arms takes the pencil and starts drawing, and all of a sudden the artist's hand is gone, and now the life is coming from the cartoon. Some of you remember that. Okay, well, those of you that do, that's it. Okay. Well, anyway, that's kind of the energetic that is there in the way that it expresses. Basically, we can have in our life what you're willing to be. Okay? Not say. What you're willing to be with your feelings and your emotions, that deeper stuff that creates on the canvas. You can have what you're willing to be. So if you want to experience abundance, you have got to not talk abundance, you've got to be abundance. If you are looking to experience greater health, you've got to start practicing those greater health kind of expressions in your life. And the world responds. That is this non-judgmental screen that is not bound by precedent. It is bound by what it is you are emoting into it that begins to reflect it back in your life. You have got to be that. We have given so much power to this world of form, this material kingdom in which we live. It purports all this power, but we've come to discover it doesn't matter how much stuff you consume, you can't buy happiness. It doesn't matter how much sex you have, you can't buy love. It doesn't matter how many hundreds of billions of dollars we spend on military stuff, it doesn't buy peace. It begins in the depths of that stream of our being to be able to feel that presence. And I'll tell you, our subjective takes everything you put in there. You can't say, oops, didn't mean that. Oh, sorry. There is no karmic amnesty here. Okay, that was good. It's responding. It's responding. And so when you're in a circumstance in your life, when you're in a storm in your world, when there are difficulties or challenges in the life in which you are living, like a storm out the world, you can't control the storms, the patterns of the weather. You do your best to stay away from the danger. You put on the proper clothes. But you also, when it's raining, you go inside, don't you? You go inside. You get out of it. You go inside the house. In our life, when there are those storms going on, you do your best to stay away from them. But when they're there, you go inside. And from that inside place, you are elevated. You begin to see the things of this world are a result of what is going on inside. From the implicate universe, that sense of wholeness, it's all connected. You begin to get to the edge and see how things are being created, what kind of new pieces you can send out into this world, where it is you're coming from. You've got to take the time to go inside. You've got to be able to quiet the mind and the body. We've got so much chatter going on, we can't hear the voice. Bless you. We've got to be able to go inside and take the time and to listen and to feel and connect and allow those things to just be lifted away. Meditation is so important, but you've got to do it. And it takes time. You ever have like a pot that you burnt stuff, you couldn't get it off, you scrubbed and you scrubbed, maybe not you, but it's my style of cooking. So gourmets for God, and watch out if I'm cooking. But anyway, what you do is you stick the pot in some soapy water overnight, and somehow as it stays in that water overnight, things loosen up and they begin to lift off. It's amazing the way it works. Well, I'll tell you, in our meditation, we've got to spend some time there. You heard me talking about this a few minutes ago. You can't just think you can read a spiritual book and become spiritual. It is a consistent practice. You've got to spend some time there. And you've got to be willing to be honest and be exposed to that presence of God. Too often we're trying to close ourselves. God, I really don't want you to know this about me. It's like, I really didn't mean to do this, but go to a doctor. We're willing to take our clothes off and be naked for a doctor, and yet we don't want to be fully vulnerable and exposed to God? What's the thinking there? I'll tell you what I've discovered for some is that there's the old concept of God being judgmental, the old concept of God being angry. And so why would I want to expose myself to a judgmental, angry expression of life? And so he's tried to stay covered. And when you're trying to withhold, you're not available and vulnerable for Spirit. You know, just as the doctor comes, do your checkup. It's in and out of the office in 5 minutes. You're feeling, hey, he didn't spend enough time, or she didn't spend enough time with me. You know, she didn't really understand the subtleties, the nuances of what is going on. 5 minutes is out of here? That's not fair. I waited all this time. Imagine you only take 5 minutes to be with God. How does that feel? I only got 5 minutes for you, God. Yeah, I'm going to do my quick prayer and I'm out of here. I got to get going on with life. You know, that's just as unfair. You're upset with the doctor? Imagine Spirit. I've only got, 5 minutes today. We have got to take some time. It's not about just going to church every now and then. It is about doing your spiritual practices consistently, showing up consistently, applying it consistently in your life. You'll come to recognize everything that you need. You have got, that is worth dancing. And when you're on the edge, you see infinite possibilities for yourself, and you're going to dance even more because you know you've got what it takes. It doesn't need to come from the outside world. Because I'm the creator. With God, I co-create. As you know, and you heard, Mariel Hemingway is coming to Seaside. It is so exciting, this Oscar-nominated actress. Cover the Light Connection. Do you know they can't keep this particular issue on the shelves, on the newsstands? People keep grabbing it. I guess there's just something that emanates from this particular one. But anyway, they got her on the cover because she's coming to Seaside and talking about how to be present in moments that are tough. I mean, her dad had heart problems. Her mom died of cancer when she was little. Her sister OD'd. I mean, how can you stay present? Well, she puts a lot of energy and emphasis on the meditation and going within. And I want to share with you something she said to Steve Hayes in this interview. She says, it's a wonderful thing when you realize that nobody knows you better than you, and that you sometimes put that in the background. Who do you think has more knowledge of you than you? So, when I discovered that I was actually the best person to doctor me, to feed me, to exercise me, to do whatever for me, it was such a liberation. It was like, I don't need to go out and spend hundreds of thousands of doctors over years giving my power over to other people, telling me what to do with my life, when actually, if I just got quiet enough, I could figure that out for myself. Not as a philosophy, but as a reality of who I am. She's going to be here to share those ideas. So important to be able to take the time and discover who you are. Who you are is Spirit. Who you are is not that person that is caught in the whirlpool, in the eddy, who is not separated, fighting your way through life, wishing that things had turned out better. Who you are is the divine expressing itself no matter where you are in your life, no matter how much pain you have had, no matter what your age is in this chronological journey. You are a clear expression of the divine, able to eradicate any of the blunders, the challenges, or the circumstances that are going on. When you're able to step away from the eddies and the vortices and the whirlpools of this world and realize that the implicate order of your being is God seeking to express itself, and that you can create from a new kind of place with your emotions, with those feelings that are in this unified field, as the Vedas told us. They said that there is this unified field of pure consciousness. The Taoists talk about there being an enormous vastness in which it's all contained, where there is no excess and no lack, where there's only harmony. And that what we do with our emoting or our feelings and beliefs is that we put a ripple into it. That's how things are created. We are what is called in the scientific world a disturbance. Not that a disturbance is a bad thing, but if in the Taoist philosophy all there is a harmony, and we put a disturbance in, that is how creation happens. And it can create hardships, or it can create beauty. It can create a new relationship. It can create a healing in your intimacy. It can create an abundance. It can create a healthy body beyond any doctor's wildest dreams, because you'll realize that you are doctoring to yourself, and that this body is scientifically proven that it responds to the chemical input that is released from those emotions and those feelings that you have, and that we are able to secrete anything that the body needs to heal itself. We have heard of healing stories of every case and situation that there is. You can read about them. I talk about them. And how does that happen? Because the body knows, and when you choose to doctor yourself, I don't care how far gone the doctor may have told you you are, you can come back to be a fully expression of God in your life. Hallelujah. And the exciting thing is that the new paradigm is that we are in a universe where we get to participate, a participatory universe. The universe is not fixed. It is still creating. It is still unfolding. It is still unfulfilled. So where the old scientific belief said it's already, set in motion, we are believing that we are in a participatory universe, that we are participants in the creation that is not fulfilled. And so the exciting news about that is that we are living in a world and a time where you are being called. You are being called to be the one in a world where the people are reeling in pain and anguish and anger and hurt and judgment. You are being called in a world this time to be the one who is able to practice forgiveness, who is able to practice compassion, who is able to practice love in a world where the effects are not calling forth those kind of expressions, but you get to bring a new thought. You get to bring a new energy, emotion. You get to set forth in that divine matrix a new kind of place that will save humanity from the effects of the pain that they are in. To be able to choose from a God perspective, from an elevated perspective, will make you dance on the edge while people are sitting in the valley saying how terrible it is. You'll be going, no, because I see as God sees, and I hear as God hears, and the kingdom that is of I see is not of this world, but from that stream that we are all part of, that wholeness that is emerging through us now. God bless us as we do our task. So I'd like to invite the ushers to come forward as we do take our gift from our heart. Again, with a lot of heart and soul and passion. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Hey, I trust you enjoyed that podcast. It was very exciting to be able to create that and to know that there are people like you all around the world that are observing and integrating these spiritual principles into their life. And so if you enjoyed it, what I'd like to do is encourage you to tell a friend or bring several friends together and watch another one of these podcasts, and then afterwards take some time to talk about the spiritual principles, to talk about the stories and what significance they have and relevance they have in your life. What then happens is it moves to a deeper and deeper level in your world. It becomes real and assists you to create the freedom in your life that your heart and soul so desire. So if you like this, I encourage you to watch it again, but also tune into our website here at seasidecenter.org. There, you can get some of my written material and take a look at it. You can read some of my spiritual prayers. You can even go to our online bookstore and order some of the books. And if you're so moved, what I greatly would appreciate is your financial support, which you could do online at seasidecenter.org. It is support like yours that assists us to be able to continue to do these kinds of gifts for humanity and send it out to the world. Because you know what? We are making a difference with this spiritual message. And because of support like yours, people are being touched in the farthest reaches of this planet, as well as our backyard, more than we could ever begin to realize. So I thank you from the fullness of my heart for making a difference.